I know you all have scrolled through Facebook because we have all done it dozens of times. You roll through, you see a post that says, which decoy should I buy? And then right below that, you get comment after comment of, that decoy sucks. Those keels break, that paint chips, those decoys sink, these are the best. Well, we wanted to find out for ourselves. So what we did was take decoys from 6 of the leading manufacturers and put them through a series of tests. Now we hadn't go as far as foam filled and flocked, and we didn't go lowballing it with the hot buys or the promos or the economies. We took standard run-of-the-mill, right down the center decoys from these manufacturers. We put them through the test. We're going to show you guys over the course of the next 3 weeks how they performed. We're not going to say this one's the best or that one's the worst. We're just going to present our findings. So basically what we have done this summer is put these decoys through a series of tests. The first one being, we set them on a pond, I believe it was the beginning of May. We left them out there for 90 days. Now in Illinois, it has been a wicked hot summer. We've had a lot of rain, a lot of storms, but on the days where it has not rained, it's been 95, 100 degrees many of those days. So that sun beating down on them, we wanted to put that paint scheme to the test, see how it held up, and also sitting in water for that amount of days, we wanted to see if any of the keels wound up with any water in them. So after 90 days, go back out, retrieve them. They're all still afloat. Very little water had leaked into any of the keels. I'll talk about that as I go through them. And really the paint schemes held up pretty well. We'll start with the DOAs. This was the original. That's before hitting the water. This is after. Different pose, sorry, but the paint schemes were the same. And you notice maybe just a little bit of fading on the one that's been out there. Head color is still very similar. There's no water in the keel. I did my best to scrub off all the pond scum, but as far as the top goes, you know, there's not any chips. These decoys were sat really close together to get that time lapse off the trail camera. So I know they did a lot of bumping around, but as far as I'm concerned, looks pretty darn good for sitting in the water for 90 days. And much like how the DOAs held up, the avians were pretty similar. That's straight out of the box, hasn't seen the light of day. This is the one that's been in the pond. You know, you got the pond scum on the keel, the bottom where the surface of the water is, but as far as the top and the paint, very, very little, if any, fading. You definitely notice a larger size on these compared to the Tangle Free and the Higdons. Another thing you notice, it's a lot softer plastic. You can definitely bend it, compress it, it pops right back out. No chips, still looks like a pretty darn new decoy other than the pond scum. Next up are the Tangle Frees. If you remember, these are the hard plastic. The avians were definitely by far and away the softest. Here's what it looked like before it went on the pond, and here's what it looks like after 90 days of sitting in the Illinois summer heat. Not a whole lot of fading whatsoever. Kind of like the Higdons, they lost just a touch of that pop on the head. Still not bad at all, and like I said, I scrubbed these as best I could when I took them out of the pond before I took pictures. There's still a little bit of dirt on it, some pond scum there around the edges, but no water in the keel. Held up pretty well. Paint withstood the 90 days in the heat. And then next we have the Higdons. They were probably the smallest out of the batch. There is, out of the box, here's the guy that's been on the pond. Not a whole lot of change in color, maybe a little bit of fading. A few chips in the paint here and there. You can definitely tell the head has faded just a touch. It doesn't quite have that pop that the initial decoy has coming out of the box. Still not bad at all. And this one, probably can't hear it, has just a touch of water in the keel. Still sat just fine though. These hardcores, the box says economy, but they're standards. I'll show you on the bottom of the decoy. Straight out of the box, this is the one that's been on the pond. You can see the body in the one out of the box is more of a tannish gray, to where after it's sat, it turns more of a dull gray. There's definitely some fading in the head, and the beak has really changed colors. Is it a deal breaker? Absolutely not. We've ran these for a number of years. Haven't had an issue with them. We've shot a ton of ducks. But as far as sitting on a pond for 90 days, here's what it looks like and the difference between the two. No water in the keel, some fading, some paint chipping, and a little bit of pond scum on the bottom. The green headgears were much like the bulk of them. Maybe just very, very slight fading. Really hard to catch with the eye. Here's the one out of the box. Here's the one that's been on the pond. Again, that green head, like in a lot of these decoys, has lost just a little bit of the pop. It's still very, very similar. The backs really didn't fade a whole lot. No water in the keel. Hard plastic again. Not the soft stuff like avians. Probably not quite as big as the avians or the DOAs. Kind of got that standard keel design. The green headgear's been around for a long time. They definitely have a lot lower posture. You know, after 90 days, looks very, very similar other than the pond scum and the little bit of dirt after getting brushed off. And as far as which ones perform best, that's up for you guys to decide. You can visit the link here that's going to pop up in the video or down below in the description. We're going to have a post on our website that's going to have all the before pictures, all the after pictures, direct comparisons, and it's going to break down this video in text. You'll be able to read all about it. We're going to have size measurements. We're going to have standard approximate costs for all these decoys, the breakdown of the hen to drake ratio and the postures that's included in these boxes. I hope this has been somewhat informative. The 90-day test of the duck floaters on the pond through the summer heat. We're going to have 2 more tests coming up in the following weeks here on our Waterfowl Wednesday videos. Make sure you like this video. Next time you see a post on Facebook where somebody says, "What decoy should I buy?" link this video into it. Let them decide for themselves. You decide for yourself. We're going to take all these tests, figure out what decoys we might purchase this coming year, and we'll see you next week on Waterfowl Wednesday.